who wouldn't want to live in New York City? Iconic skylines, world-class culture, and energy in the Big Apple that's magnetic. But if you can't handle these 7 hard truths, you will hate it. If you can, this city will change you in ways you've never imagined. We're going to be breaking down the biggest challenges, the cost of living, the grind, the competition, the culture shock, and so much more. Honestly, the stuff that Instagram never shows you. Make sure to subscribe. Each week, we post intentional insider insights so that you know exactly what life is like in New York City. All right, the first thing you need to know about moving to New York City is the cost of living. If you are not prepared for the high cost of living in this city, you will hate it. Everything here will cost more. Groceries, dining out, childcare, daycare, parking, you name it, it all costs more. Think of a casual lunch. Might cost you $15. Well, here in New York City, you can expect to pay $30 or more. Okay, let's talk about everyday examples for groceries. So if you're gonna buy pasture-raised eggs, it's gonna cost you $11.50 to $12.50 here in New York City. Outside of the city, it's gonna cost you $10.50. All right, another example. Organic milk. We also have lots of noise here, so if you don't like noise in New York City, then this might not be for you. But organic milk, half gallon. Inside the city, it's $7.50. Outside the city, it could be $6.50. Then we have to talk about how you're gonna get your groceries home. If you live further than 2-3 blocks and you have 4 bags of heavy groceries, you're not going to want to carry them all the way home. You're gonna wanna hail a taxi cab, order an Uber, or you're simply just gonna order them online and you're gonna have delivery fees that you're going to be paid. So if you add that all up on an annual basis, you're gonna be paying a lot more for groceries when you live here in New York City. Let's talk about gym memberships. Equinox, for example. Outside of the city, it's $210 for a single club pass. If you are inside the city and you buy a single club pass, it's generally $250 to $290. However, the prime locations do not allow single club memberships and they require an all-access pass. An all-access pass for Equinox is $335. So you've gone from $210 for your single club pass where you're living now you're up to $335 a month for your Equinox membership. Then there's all the hidden costs that seem to just creep up on you. You're committed to maintaining a budget. You're gonna take the subway. Well, guess what? You're gonna work late. It's raining, it's snowing, whatever it is, you're gonna be hailing a taxi cab or ordering a rideshare. So that all just adds up at the end of the day. You're going to say, oh, I'm gonna start cooking at home in order to save. Well, you get home late from work and you're cooking for one that doesn't seem like much fun, or even if you're cooking for a family, all of a sudden you're ordering in and you're ordering delivery. So the costs just they do pile up here. So you have to be prepared for that. Laundry, if you don't have a washer and dryer inside your home, you're gonna be sending out for laundry services. Your dry cleaning bills are a little more expensive because the dry cleaners have to pay for storefront rents, which are more expensive. So exponentially, just imagine everything is a little bit more. We're a subtropic climate, so air conditioning in the summer, you need a lot of it. So your AC bill is gonna be a little higher in the summer. And the same thing in the winter when it gets really cold and we have some of those sub-zero freezing temperatures. And you just need the heat going 24/7. So overall, you're gonna see everything is just a little bit more expensive. Let's get into what you're probably here for, and that is what it takes to purchase property here in New York City. The cost to enter New York City as a homeowner is going to cost you 1 to 5% on top of the purchase price in transaction costs. You have mansion tax, mortgage recording fees, title insurance, application fees if you're going to be purchasing a condo or a co-op. And then when you're selling, you also have New York State and New York City transfer fees. So if you're not prepared for these costs, you're really going to hate living here. And to be honest, at the end of the day, this all starts to feel like you are just bleeding money. So if you're not prepared, you are really gonna hate living here in New York City. This is exactly why we publish our weekly DOMI Data Insights. We want you to know exactly what's going on in the market right now instead of relying on old headlines. So We would love for you to go to heatheradobe.com for you to be able to check out bite-sized neighborhood market insights. I'm Heather Domi, and I lead the Heather Domi team. If you're looking for insider knowledge to match your neighborhood with your lifestyle, call us. This is the big leagues, and we know how to set you up for success. If you're moving to New York City, you are probably moving here for a job. So let's talk about the job market for a second, because if you cannot handle the job market, you are going to hate it here. New York City runs on ambition. It is probably the most cutthroat environment in the world. It's not just local talent that you're competing against. You are competing against some of the best talent in the world. And let me tell you one thing, they really don't care about your local resume. So if you're not prepared to handle this environment and you're not ready to rise to the top, this just might not be the place for you. The numbers tell a story. Right now, our unemployment rate is 4.8%. That is higher than the national average. In fact, in the first half of 2025, only 956 jobs were created in the private sector compared to 66,000 in the first half of 2024. That is a massive freeze in our job market. Unless you come to New York City with a job and one that truly covers the cost of living in New York City, you are truly gambling. The hard truth, those who come to New York City without a plan don't last. Bottom line, if you want to coast, do not come to New York City. But if you like competition and you're prepared to grind, New York City will catapult your career like nowhere else. But you're going to need to fight for it every single day. Okay, this next thing that we're going to talk about is something that I feel is unexpected, but it's really important that we talk about it, and it has to do with you finding your people here in New York City, making friends and a social group. So it really depends on who you are, if you're social, if you're outgoing, but if you're introverted, it could be very intimidating in figuring out how you're gonna find your way here in New York City. So if you're not open to the challenge of making friends, meeting new people, and finding your place, this city just might not be for you. Different situations shape community. And to be honest, people in New York City, they're very busy, they're driven, and they have a lot going on. So they're really not thinking about you making friends. And that's where it's really important that you need to be outgoing and have a really positive attitude about bringing new people into your life. If you're introverted and you're shy and you're afraid, you are gonna have to put yourself out of your comfort zone. You know, listen, if you're moving here and you are young and you're just getting started in the world, you are gonna meet people through your career. You are gonna make friends. Young professionals in the city are all working very hard together at the same time, and they are also creating lots of social activities kind of after work and whatnot. So I'm not really worried about the young professional working in a job with a lot of other young professionals. Sometimes if you move here mid-career in your 30s, that might be a little daunting because people already have their friend groups. If you're moving here with a family and you have young children, that's a great opportunity to get involved in your school and start to make friends. Also in your building where you live, deciding and choosing where you live can help build that sense of community. So at the end of the day, I think it's really important that you just make a very conscientious effort as to how you're going to integrate your life socially here in New York City. Some additional ways for you to get involved and find your people here in New York City include: there are social clubs that you can get involved in. There are sporting clubs you can get involved in. Nonprofit organizations such as New York Cares or Junior League, those are great organizations and they help you meet people and make friends, professional networking groups. And then there's of course the digital landscape, which, you know, that is, everybody's so fluent in these days, and there's an app called Meetups, which is a great way. There's actually a running club for people. Actually, I understand in the running club, if you wear like a black shirt, you're single, and if you wear a different shirt, you're not. So there's fun stuff like that that goes on. There's also a texting platform where 222, they'll send you invitations for curated events based on your preferences. And you just really have to put yourself out there, get involved, and you'll find the opportunities and you'll find your people. I would not buy into any of the stereotypes that New Yorkers are unwelcoming and unfriendly. I mean, yes, you're gonna get some of that, but to be honest, New York City is a melting pot. People are from everywhere and they are very welcoming of newcomers. So I think that as long as you're willing to put yourself out there, it's going to be a great experience. But if that's something you can't do, I will say I think you will feel very isolated and you're not gonna like it here in New York City. By the way, this is the perfect time to talk about our relocation guide. Our relocation guide that you can find on heatherdomi.com has all this information and more to help you feel at home in one of the greatest cities in the world. This next one is a big one, and this is going to be the one that really could send you packing, because I don't care if you live in a cold, seasonal climate. It's very different when you live in New York City and you have to deal with the seasons, because you don't have your cushy car to protect you from the environment. You're in it, you're out in it. So it is something that you need to be prepared for. If we talk about winter, snow isn't pretty. I remember when I first moved here, I was super excited for the first snowstorm. And let me tell you, my friends gave me a lesson on that really quick. It's messy, it's dirty, it's gross. And you really do not want big, huge snowstorms, because it causes problems for the city for over a week usually. But you just have to be prepared. When you come here, you need to be prepared. You need layers. You need to be prepared for cold, cold, cold. You need to be prepared for snow, wind, and rain. So those are kind of some of the adverse conditions. Next, let's get into summer. Now, when it comes to summer, summer is different. I mean, summer, we live for summer here. This is when you get to go to your second home market or get away, go on vacations. The city empties out on weekends and you just really appreciate the great, great weather. But let me tell you, New York was recently classified as a subtropic. So that means it gets really hot and really sticky. It can be really super disgusting when you are riding the subway and you go down on the platform and it feels like 110 degrees and the air is stifling. But it is honestly, it's a time where you want to be outside. You're walking a lot more, you're eating in outdoor cafes, and you're just enjoying the weather and the nature. But if you don't like that really, really hot, humid heat, it's different because you're not in your car, you're not in air conditioning, you're outside. So once again, it's all about being prepared. And if you aren't ready to be prepared for all these kind of variable weather conditions, you just might not enjoy it here. Okay, before we wrap up weather, I want to give you a few pro tips on how to deal with the weather when you're living in New York City. First of all, never leave home without checking the weather for the day, because it can change unexpectedly. So you always want to dress appropriately for the weather, whether it's going to be hot or cold, it could change. You need to expect that it will change. Number two, go buy a dozen umbrellas before you get here, because inevitably you're going to lose them, you're going to forget them, they're going to break. So you always want to have a lot of umbrellas on hand. You're going to need rain boots, because we also have flash flooding that can happen. And literally, I got stuck at a showing last week because we had flash flooding storm in the middle of the showing and the water was 2 feet deep and we couldn't get out of the building. So you just never know when it's going to change. Things can move in and out. Weather patterns move in and out quickly here. So those are my recommendations. Honestly, to me, it's not a deal breaker. Just be prepared and you can manage it. But if you're not up for the challenge, again, this city might not be for you. In just a bit, I'm gonna share with you one of the things that nearly broke me when I first moved here, and it could be the one that breaks you too. We can't talk about the 7 things you might hate about New York City without talking about real estate. Real estate in New York City is extremely complex, and it's like no other city in the United States of America. And I'm gonna tell you why. There's a few reasons why this is. First of all, New York City's housing stock is extremely different, and I'm gonna get into that. Second, we're an attorney state. So the way that we do contracts is very different. Attorneys do the contracts. And then 3, we're not part of the National Association of Realtors. So it just makes the whole process extremely different. And if it's something that you want, like a very straightforward process, and you're not willing to adapt to the way things are done here in New York City, you might just absolutely hate it and it's not going to be for you. All right, so let's break down the 3 different types of properties you might consider purchasing when you move to New York City. First, co-ops. You hear a lot about co-ops, but nobody ever really knows what that means. You do not own a co-op in fee simple. You you own stocks in a corporation. Co-ops have stricter rules. They require full financial disclosure. You're giving them tax returns for 2 years. You're giving them all your bank statements, all your investment statements. It's full disclosure. Think of it as the full Monty, okay? And then there's the board interview. So you are gonna have to do a board interview, pass the interview to be able to purchase in a co-op. The next thing is the condo. So condos are great because they don't have any of those rules or regulations that come with co-ops. However, they are more expensive. They often come with a lot of amenities and they're in much newer buildings. So they're great for many, many reasons, but they come with a price tag. And then the third would be townhouses. Townhouses are great. They're actually one of my favorite types of properties to sell because they're probably the most complex and I love a good challenge. But if you are thinking of a townhouse, it's not for the faint of heart, because those houses, our townhouses, are about 100 to 150 years old. The last thing that I want to talk to you about are new development projects. So right now we have a new development project that's right behind us. We're here in the West Village. It's 140 Jane Street. Great to own new development because it is brand new, nobody's lived in it, and it's always the shiny new object. But it does come with some headaches, so that also is not for the faint of heart, right? So you're moving into a building that might still have construction going on. There are delays. It's never ready when they say it's going to be ready. There's more closing costs with new development. So they try to pass off the seller, who's the sponsor, their transfer taxes and fees to the buyer. So it's a complex purchase that, you would go through a proper due diligence with your attorney, but it can also be a fun and exciting one. So if these things sound like just too much, New York City might not be for you, but that's why we're here. We know how to expertly guide you through the transaction process, whether you are purchasing a co-op, a condo, a townhouse, or a new development project. When I moved to New York City, I made a very conscientious decision that this thing was not gonna break me. And I'm talking about grit, dirt, noise, people, crowds. Everything messy and dirty about New York City. New York City doesn't sugarcoat it. We're talking trash on the sidewalks, rats on the subway platform, construction dirt everywhere. It is a very dirty and messy city. If you're used to pristine and clean, you're not going to find that here. Also, something else would be the noise. We've got sirens everywhere, people honking, you have construction noise, garbage trucks, you name it. If you're looking for peace and tranquility, New York City isn't it. Now, on the flip side, so many people find the grit, the noise, the grime of New York City electrifying. They really beat to this pulse of what New York City has to offer. Now, we were talking as we were filming this video, and we found a really kind of gritty spot to film this for you, but we want to show you just how New York can be one thing on one side of the street and absolute gold on the next side. So if you just spin around here, you'll just see this very beautiful, excellent shopping district. So you've got a little bit of everything, and it's just all mixed in here in New York City. If you crave calm, we know the buildings with soundproofing. We know the locations where you can find something that's going to be a nice, peaceful, serene retreat here in New York City. And that's one of the real reasons why you want to work with us, because we have all those insider tips, tricks, hacks that you're going to want when you're moving to New York City. All right, so I want to share with you a true story about living in New York City when it comes to all the messiness and the dirtiness. One night I was walking home, it was late, and the rats always kind of pop up out of the holes of the sidewalks on the block that I lived on. And one rat popped out from under the hole, ran right under my foot, and as I stepped down, the rat was right underneath my foot. So yeah, it was probably one of the grossest experiences that I've had here in New York City, but it was a true New York moment. Alrighty, this is the one. This is the one thing that you might have been waiting for this whole time. We are gonna talk about crime and homelessness. So many people, when I travel now, they are asking me about the crime and homelessness here in New York City. All right, let's talk about crime first. So right now in 2025, we are down 5 to 6% than where we were a year ago. We are at historic lows for shootings and homicides. But I will say we still are having issues with assault, theft, and subway incidences, and our crime is still up from where we were pre-pandemic. In regards to homelessness, right now, we have about 90,000 individuals that are staying overnight in homeless shelters. Most of that population consists of families, and we are about double the number of homeless people in the city since 2022. You see it quite frequently on the streets, in subway stations, bus stations, and whatnot. So there are a few reasons as to why that's happening here in New York City. All right, there are a number of reasons as to why we're seeing such an increase in homelessness. A lot of it has to do with the fact that New York is a sanctuary city. So many people are coming here seeking asylum, and it just has created a bottleneck. But in addition to that, we also are having an issue with affordability for housing. So housing's gotten more expensive, and there's an affordability issue. So there just isn't enough places for people to live, people that we need to service our city. So on top of that, you also have mental health and addiction that is under-resourced. So, that is its very own crisis. And it's just created this bottleneck where we have just too many people that need to be cared for in our system. Safety and homelessness are two things you cannot avoid living in a big city. So if these things are not for you, I would definitely say you're gonna struggle here in New York City. But if you can come here and you can understand that that's just part of our fabric, and be aware, you want to pay attention to your surroundings, keep your head on a swivel, don't put yourself in a bad situation, you're going to be just fine, and you're going to actually feel very safe in this city. And all of this, I have to say, for me, it is all outweighed by the opportunity and benefits and experiences that you get here living in New York City. These are hard realities, but I think it's really important that you understand the opportunities and the challenges if you're planning on moving to New York City. When I moved here at the age of 35, mid-career, and I have to say that I decided I was gonna embrace and accept everything that the city had to offer, good and bad, because if I wasn't willing to accept and embrace the good with the bad, I don't think I would have survived here. So I really want that for you to make some very smart, intentional decisions. You come here with your eyes wide open, and you're gonna have the best experience yet. If you can't handle this list of things living in New York City, ranging from the competition to the cost of living, the grind, the social challenges, the weather, the realities of crime, then this city is not made for you. But if this excites you more than it scares you, then you are built for New York City. And when you're ready to make a move, call us. We will help you do it intentionally, ensuring that you move confidently and calmly throughout every step of the process. And don't miss this next video, the best things about living in New York City, because yes, there is another side of this story.